freedom lovers. I will say right off the bat, everybody is welcome here, but if you're not a freedom lover, you don't fit being here right now, at least for this video. So I wanted to drop in live with you real quick because I want to call the freedom lovers to support something that's absolutely near and dear to my heart. This month, the freedom loving community that is with me, we're partnering with Operation Underground Railroad to do a fundraiser to rescue children and women from the most horrific circumstances you'll ever find. Sex trafficking, human trafficking. It's an absolute major problem. I can't understand how it has become such a problem, but the reality is it's a problem. And Operation Underground Railroad, like nobody else, is doing something about it to hand the lives, the freedom back to the innocent, the children and the women. But they need our support. So here's what I'm going to ask you to think about here for just a second. You love freedom, just like I do. And over the past few years, maybe longer if you're more awake than I am, we've seen our freedoms, at least as Americans, start to be eroded. And some of us have said, we're not going to play that game. You're not eroding my freedoms. But we've seen it nonetheless. It's touched us. It's probably motivated you just as much as it's motivated me to fight against the injustice while standing for freedom. So I think that's an important fight. We need to keep fighting. We need to keep standing for our freedom, to protect our freedoms and prevent it from even an inch of our freedoms from being taken from us. But here's the thing. There's some people out there, innocent children, who have had every ounce of freedom unjustly taken from them, completely eroded away, and then put in the most horrific circumstances I cannot even imagine, just to be frank with you. And they're helpless. That's why they're called the innocent. They can't get out of those situations on their own. That's why they need help. That's why just amazing organizations like Operation Underground Railroad exist. They put their lives on the line. I'm going to tell you more about them in just a second. But first, by the way, I'm going to share with you the three types of people that I think exist in the world. But before I do that, if you're like, well, JP, you're kind of preaching to the choir. I love the cause. I'd like to support it. How can I do that? So, and I'll say this a couple more times on the stream here. But if you'd like to support, you can go to awakenwithjp.com/OUR, as in Operation Underground Railroad. Once again, that's awakenwithjp.com/OUR. Real quick, I'm going to see if I am smart enough to pin that in the comments on YouTube. It is going to be very iffy if I'm smart enough. Oh, there's my stream. That's cool. Looks like JP is doing a live stream. Heck yeah. So give me 2 seconds. We're going to get back to the show here. But first things first. Nope, switch account. How boring is this to watch? Like, this is horrible for engagement, bro. I know. By the way, you might be able to hear geese outside. That's because there's geese outside. And one thing I've learned about geese, they're not quiet. All right. 1 second, I'm going to be back with you. Dun, 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 dun. Pin message, look at that. Successful. JP, you are so smart. But, so, before I tell you more about Operation Underground Railroad, I want to share there's three types of people that I believe exist in the world as it relates to freedom. There are those who just don't care about freedom. They're the ones we might label sheep. maybe a fun way to say it, but that's what they are. They're like, I don't value freedom. Probably not awake to how darn important it is, because a fish doesn't know it's swimming in water until you take it out of the water. So they're like, dude, all I've known is freedom. So how could I possibly value freedom? So the sheep, the first group of people, they really do nothing to uphold their own freedom. Okay, they exist. Luckily, a lot of them are waking up. Second group of people that exists are freedom lovers, who they care so much about their freedom, they're willing to fight for their freedom, they're willing to do something about it, they're willing to preserve their own freedom because they know it absolutely matters to them. And the third group of people, they're freedom lovers who care about freedom so much, and they care about other people so much that they're not just willing to stand and fight for their own freedom, they're also willing to stand and fight for the freedom of others, including the innocent. And these people are what we call the lions. They care more. They care more than just about themselves and their own freedom. They realize humanity matters, other people matter, other people's freedom matters. I stand for that. And lions especially stand for the innocent, those who recognize are actually in a powerless, helpless situation. The lions of the world come out and help protect the innocent, fight for their freedom. That's why on this live stream, I'm calling all lions, because with saving innocent children and women from sex trafficking, it is a selfless endeavor. It takes a lion to say, I see these people, I worry about my own freedom, and that's a real worry, but I see these women and children, they have unjustly had their freedoms taken from them. That's not okay with me. I'm not a sheep, and I'm not just a freedom lover who only cares about my freedom. I am a lion who cares about other people's freedom. And being able to hand freedom back to a child who has unjustly lost every ounce of freedom in their life, dare I say, that is a job for the lions. That's why I want to talk to you. If you're a lion, I will invite you to join me on the fundraising campaign for Operation Underground Railroad. Say more about them in just a second. But first, we have a goal of as the Awakened Freedom Loving community, we have a goal of raising $100,000 for Operation Underground Railroad this month. By the way, before I tell you about Operation Underground Railroad, I want to literally put my money where my mouth is. So me and my family, we very much care about handing freedom back to the innocent. Like, one, it feels good. Like, we all want to make a difference. It feels helpless to not make a difference. But being able to make a difference by supporting Operation Underground Railroad, who goes into the most dangerous situations to rescue the children, that feels good to support. And the other thing we realize, there's nothing more valuable that we can spend our money on than handing the lives and freedom back to children who otherwise would be in an absolutely hopeless situation. So we've got our next meals lined up. We've got our expenses covered. So me and my family, we've decided to get uncomfortable, and we're personally donating $10,000 to the campaign. And in fact, I'm going to make that donation live on air with you. If you can see that, that little blue thing. So donate now, $10,000, simply because we care. And I think children deserve it. Cool. It went through. Yay. Dude, that feels good. I've never spent $10,000 on something that has more value. I love it. So if you're a lion and you've got your next meals covered, you're able to pay your bills, I would ask you, if you've got something to spare, whether that's small or large, I would ask you to make a donation if it's in your heart. And you can make a donation. The link is in the YouTube comments. The link is also in the Instagram description. if you're watching there, or you can just go to awakenwithjp.com/OUR. If you're a lion, cool. I was just on the website seeing there's been a handful of people who have made $1,000 donations, and holy crap, like that's amazing. But no donation is too small or too large. $10 makes a difference, because you got to think there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of other people donating $10 amounts. So that makes a difference. And if you've got a surplus, and maybe you're similar to me and you're like, well, I don't know what else I could spend this money on that would provide more value and make me feel better. Then if you've got a bigger surplus, then just know you're invited to make that kind of donation too. It's welcome. It will make a difference. So just a little bit about Operation Underground Railroad. You've probably heard of them, raising campaign. You probably see Operation Underground Railroad all over the place, because these are the absolute lions of the world. They are leading the charge in taking down sex trafficking rings and handing the lives and freedom back to children and women who otherwise would be hopeless. So with Operation Underground Railroad, they need funds. They need to be supported, because they set up sting operations where there's a lot of intel and investigative work that goes into locating these satanic operations. And then they have, former or current special forces people, just people who know how to handle dangerous situations, where they go into these rings with, you could just imagine the most godless, satanic people who are violent, they're murderers, they treat children as though they're objects. So you could imagine how dangerous these situations are. They are 100% life-threatening. But the people on the ground at Operation Underground Railroad routinely put their lives on the line because they care about the innocent. They have the hard part. You and I have the easy part, where if we've got a little bit of surplus or a lot of surplus, we can support them doing the hard part. And they don't stop there. As you could imagine, the people who they rescue, and they've rescued over 6,000 children from sex trafficking. And by the way, as they do that, they're also putting into jail the heinous criminal perpetrators who are doing these. So it'd be amazing to just rescue the children. Children who otherwise might be taken into these operations, they're taking down the perpetrators and getting them in jail, which is amazing. It's kind of like just helping eliminate the source of the problem rather than just addressing the symptom of the problem. And as you could imagine, the children, the women who they rescue, they've gone through trauma you couldn't even imagine. So Operation Underground Railroad provides plenty of aftercare to help them deal with their trauma, heal, recover, and rebuild their lives. So that just takes funding, and that's where people like you and I, if you're a lion, we get to step up in a way that you can to help support the innocent, and not only regaining their freedom, but also rebuilding their lives and healing from the circumstances that they absolutely never should have been in the first place. So I want to tell you, just making the donation here, it feels good, and I'm excited. I think so far, we're just a few days into the campaign. We have a $100,000 goal. I believe we're over $35,000 now after just a few days. So one thing I know about freedom lovers, especially the lion breed of freedom lovers, is we have the potential to just obliterate this goal and be like, oh, $100,000 to save the innocent. That's not good enough. Let's see if we can do better. But nonetheless, $100,000 is the goal. We're going to see where we end up. And if it's in your heart to make a donation, whether it's a one-time donation or a reoccurring monthly donation, small or large, dude, it's just an honor to be in this cause with you. By the way, fun fact, after you make a donation, you'll get an email letting you know how you can receive this shirt, Lions Protect the Innocent, Operation Underground Railroad. By the way, I see on YouTube, I don't know if connection's crappy on your end or it's just coming through crappy on my end. If it's crappy, I apologize. But nonetheless, after you make a donation, you can find out how you can get the Lions Protect the Innocent shirt, which, by the way, all profits from this shirt go to supporting Operation Underground Railroad. They're given straight to them. But this shirt also allows you to speak the message, wear the message out loud to help spread the message, because these trafficking rings are just a problem. Again, I have no idea how on God's green earth this problem has been established, but it's a problem. It's not going to fix itself. It takes lions to take down problems like this. So if you'd like to join me in making a donation, I would be honored to be in this partnership with you with Operation Underground Railroad. And just lastly, before we close, the donation, if you're on YouTube, you can see the donation link pinned in the comments. If you're watching on Instagram, you'll find link in the bio. Otherwise, you can go to awakenwithjp.com/OUR. And I just want to thank you for even considering donating what you can. And by the way, if you can't, that's just your circumstance in this moment, completely understandable. Yet if you've got small to a large surplus that your heart says, yeah, I want this money to go to protecting the innocent, helping them reclaim their lives, rebuild their lives, and giving freedom back to people who have had every ounce of their freedom unjustly stripped away from them, then it'll be a pleasure to be in this partnership with you as well. So with that said, my freedom-loving friends and all the lions out there, thank you for dropping in with me on this live stream. And I'll look forward to seeing how we progress towards our $100,000 goal this month. Love y'all. Stay free.